Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. Both Mom and I are really excited for you to join us today, and we have a special guest with us on today, David Cunningham. He is a renowned transformational teacher, spiritual practitioner, and lifelong advocate for humanity. From humble beginnings in rural Pennsylvania to leading arguably the number one transformation program on 6 continents, David's impact spans over 30 years as a senior program leader with Landmark Worldwide, where he helped more than 500,000 people unlock new levels of freedom, authenticity, and love. His leadership has supported communities in healing, executive leaders in evolving, and people from all walks of life in rediscovering what truly matters in their lives. David's life is also a testament to courage and service. As a former special education teacher, LGBTQ plus rights advocate, and the spiritual guide, he continues to create powerful new platforms for change. He has founded the Love Matters Collaboration, a movement anchoring love and the preeminent way of being. This fall, he'll launch The Awakening, a flagship transformational weekend designed to help people break through shame, judgment, and separation so they can live from love fully and freely. His book, Your Love Does Matter, A Journey to New Consciousness and Expanding Your Love Footprint, is distilled summary of all his life work. This book offers a profound path to healing, forgiveness, loving freely and fully, and spiritual growth, helping each of us reclaim the truth that we are here to love. Today, we'll explore David's incredible journey, his transformational teachings, and how each of us can expand our own love footprint in the world. So, welcome, David. We're super excited to have you on with us and have an amazing chat about all of this.
You bet.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be with you both and to everybody watching and listening.
Great. So, can you tell us a little bit about what prompted you to write this book and go on this journey that you've been on?
I wrote this book just about a year ago is when I started writing this book, and it was at a time in my life where I had retired from 35 years of traveling and leading the transformational programs around the world. As you said, I'd been a special ed teacher. I had been a director of what was called the Connecticut Justice for Children Collaboration. I'd been a director of the National Committee for Prevention of Child Abuse, been an advocate for LGBTQ plus rights, as you said. So there'd been a lot of work over 35 or 40 years. And then I, quote unquote, retired. Um, uh, as I looked, I'm 73 years old, and as I looked to say, okay, well, what do I want the next 30 years of my life to be about? And I really looked carefully, and what was I going to dedicate this next time of my life to? It came to me very clearly that what it was going to be about was love prevailing as the preeminent way of being on the planet. And I'm very serious about that. I'm intending to win that game, that we can have love win, love prevail as the preeminent way of being on the planet. And so writing the book, Your Love Does Matter, A Journey to New Consciousness and Expanding Your Love Footprint was a natural then expression of that.
Beautiful. Can you show us the book? Do you have it in front of you there?
Yep, it's right there. Uh-huh. Your
Beautiful.
love does matter. Yes, I'm very pleased with it. That subtitle too, A Journey to New Consciousness and Expanding Your Love Footprint. I'm very, very interested that whole notion of that we have a love footprint. We have a carbon footprint that we're all, want to be very attentive to. And I assert we also have a love footprint. In other words, every time you and I leave an interaction, whether it's 60 minutes with a clerk in a store, 60 seconds with a clerk in a store, or it's working for 10 years in a company and have colleagues for 10 years, when we leave that interaction or that relationship, what do we leave behind? Do we leave behind judgment, argument, righteousness? Do we leave behind indifference, or do we indeed leave love behind? And I'm inviting all of us as a society to start paying attention to our love footprint on the planet.
I think that's amazing because I think too often we do have these interactions, whether they're small and brief or longer ones, that we do not recognize that, maybe we are not leaving that situation in such a good thing, right? Like, I can speak for myself. I know I had somebody on the phone the other day that was really angry, and I finally just said, okay, we're going to stop this conversation because it's not going anywhere. We're just talking in circles. And so we'll just try this a different time, right? Because you want to kind of, because it was very angry, and then it was like, okay, we're just going to calm this down this way. So I think leaving situations like that is probably a better way. So how would you sort of talk to people about us being conscious of the love footprint that we're leaving?
Well, I find it a very useful practice in my day. I usually meditate every morning, and then at the end of my meditation, before I leave it, I visualize my day. I actually visualize who am I going to meet next? What's my next interaction? What situation am I going to be dealing with? And then I visualize myself entering that interaction as light, as love, as a real contribution, somebody who's there to to have love be the foundation of all of my work and all of our interactions together. So I find it useful before I get into the day to visualize what that would look like. Then as I go through the day, I find it useful to, after I leave an interaction, is give myself a grade. Hey, how'd I do? Right? What did I leave behind? Uh, sometimes I make a mistake, but the good news is we can always go clean it up. So I just was really silly about a month ago. I had a silly interaction with my dry cleaner of all people, and we had this conversation about the shirts, and I was just really sure I was right. And that's a good lesson I've learned is that we tend to value being right more than we value being related. And to be able to switch that over and make that choice, no, I'm going to have being related be more important than being right. But that day I totally blew it. I argued with my dry cleaner. I left on bad terms. But I had luckily a 5-minute drive home. And by the time I got home, I knew I had to call back. So I called back as soon as I got home and cleaned it up. So the good news is we can clean it up if we make a mistake. But I like visualizing my day before it starts. How's it going to go? If I enter each interaction committed to love, and then give myself a grade at the end of the interaction.
That's a good idea. It's a
That
good
is,
idea.
yeah, I love that because then you are reflecting and really looking at situations, right? Instead of being like, ugh, oh yeah, I was, miserable with that clerk or whatever, and then not doing anything about it. And I love this because this gives us some,
Food
steps
for
to
thought. Food
change
for
it.
thought. Yeah. Yeah.
Two things. One is I just sent a copy of the book. So while you and I are talking, this has gone to every member of Congress, the president and the vice president of the United States, and several governors around the country.
Good for you.
So literally 535 members of the United States Congress and Senate have received this book today or tomorrow. So I'm very excited about that. But I think, and I was really clear, it's not a moralistic message like you should be more loving. That would be insulting. It's also not a Pollyannish message like, oh, we should all, be loving people. No, it's not like that. It opens a door. It really opens a door. Whoever reads this book, I'm committed. It was not a book about love. Because, you and I could read a book about being effective and not end up effective after we read the book.
Right.
And
Mhm.
we could read a book about being a leader and not end up a leader after we read the book. So I was committed not to write a book that was about love, but a book that when somebody read it, it left them loving and it left them on a path of loving. And I think I've accomplished that. So I'm very pleased with that. And it's going to every member of Congress as we speak.
Wow, that's good. That's very good. I think that, they need that message to know that they have that the feeling of love in your heart generates out there when you're saying it, and people can change because of it. Change the way
You
they're
know,
thinking.
and what you said, that feeling of love is there. I really am very adamant that we love as human beings, we naturally love, and that if we're not loving, it's something got in our way. So some resentment, some opinion, some judgment got in our way. When we're free, we love. When we're free from judgment and free from opinion and free from resentment, we naturally love. Resenting and judging has become normal, but there's a big difference between what's normal and what's natural.
Mhm.
And I'm saying that what's natural is we love. So the job is never, ever to tell somebody they should be more loving. That would be silly. The job is to find out what suppresses our love, what's in the way, and simply move that out of the way, and then we love.
Yeah. And I like what you said there about being like right versus relatable, because I think that's a big thing right now in our
Oh,
society
yeah.
as a whole. And I think that that is one of the things that puts a little bit of a blockage on being loving out in the world, right? Because we all just want to be right. Well, not all, but a lot of people. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I'm going to say something really radical, okay? And what I'm going to say is radical is we have never been right and we've never been wrong. Nobody's ever been right and nobody's ever been wrong. We all have views of life, views of life. We see life a certain way,
Right.
and none of us see life the same way. The two of you are sitting pretty close to each other, looking the same direction, but I promise you, you both have a different view. No two people ever see life exactly the same way. So to argue which view is the right view or which view is the wrong view, that is truly a silly argument, but also a destructive one. So if we could, as human beings, discover and be willing to go, I've never been right. I've never been wrong either. I have a view and you have a view. Then I can be curious about, wonder about, appreciate, even have compassion for you with your view of life that may be different than mine. But to argue which one's right is, if you were standing in front of my house and I was standing behind my house, we'd have a different view of the house, wouldn't we?
Right.
Mhm.
On the right view? No, that would be silly to say one's the right view. They're just different views. So we've put way too much importance on being right, forgetting that we've never been right anyway. How about that?
I like that. Well, and it's so true, right? Because we have different opinions, and that doesn't make, like you said, doesn't make us right or wrong. It just makes this is my opinion, but that doesn't, I don't think, lead, like, I don't think it should lead to this separation of people because you want to be right in your opinion that way, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I
And
just,
it's almost like it's become a matter of survival for us as human beings. And if I was a neuroscientist, if you and I went down a neuroscientist conversation for a minute, we could actually get how the brain functions to have us survive. And so if we identify with our opinion, then we consider it a matter of survival to be right. But we're not our opinions. We have opinions and they come and they go, like clouds come and go in the sky, opinions come and go. So we want to not identify with our opinions. We can have them, and then we have them when we have them, and they are gone when they're gone. But that's not who we are. So it's become a matter of survival, it seems like, for people to argue that their opinion is the right one. And it really has gotten between us.
mhm.
Yeah.
So how about this? We've never been right. And we've never been wrong. Nobody's ever been right. How
Yeah.
about that for a radical view?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that because I think that says it all right there. And,
Hmm.
if we all started taking that into consideration when we're having discussions with people, I think it would make us look at discussions a little bit differently.
It
I
would take a lot of the tension out of them, wouldn't it?
I find
And
that
a
when you're
lot of
talking to somebody, depending on their mannerisms, their tone of voice, and everything like that, as they're sending it to you, as you're sitting there going, woo, like I need to either do this with it to balance this conversation out, to sort of let them know that it's okay. They don't have to feel that whatever they're sending me, anger, whatever, I don't have to accept it. So if you're doing that while they're doing that to you, you can sort of already be sending them back some love, saying, whoa, slow down. We don't need to go this place. And you can
yeah,
see people change,
totally. We don't need to respond to everything people say. We
right?
don't. We can be like bullfighters. Bullfighters don't wrestle the bull. They step out of the way, don't they?
Yep.
So we can just, let a communication go by. Somebody can say something. We don't have to respond. We can just let it go by.
Yeah.
And listening, the other thing, most of us value our speaking, and our speaking is how we create life. But listening is equally important.
Mhm.
And to be able to listen to another person so that they have the experience of being heard. And I've noticed with people that if they have the experience that you listen to them, they don't need you to agree with them. They appreciate being listened to.
That's
So
true.
listening is really, really important. I think we can put more emphasis on listening too.
Mhm.
Very true, because a lot of people aren't feel like they're not being heard.
That's right. That's right. And that's why they repeat themselves and get louder. If you notice, you know, you don't just think about your own talking. You don't repeat yourself and get louder if you think you've been heard the first time.
Yeah.
It's only if you don't think you've been heard that you get louder and repeat yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we all
So,
want that acknowledgement, right? To know that we matter and that people see us and, for
As we are.
somebody that is authentically
Yeah,
being
yeah,
yourself.
it's very important, isn't it?
we are.
I think there's another point too, if I can bring it into the conversation, okay? It's
Hmm.
about how we relate to love in the first place. So I encourage people, most people relate to love as a feeling, like I feel love, I have an emotion of love. And love does exist in that domain. There are emotions related to that you have that are loving emotions. Then people relate to love as actions, like I give you a Valentine's Day card, or I bring you roses, or I say I love you. And yes, there's a expression of love that happens in the domain of doing. But there's a third domain of life that people don't pay much attention to, which is the domain of being, who we be as human beings. So, in other words, we can be generous or we can be stingy. We can be tender, we can be cold. We can be respectful, we can be disrespectful. We can be forgiving, we can be resenting. Those are ways of being. I invite people to relate to love as a way of being. Why? Two reasons. One, because if we examine life carefully, that's where the total quality of our life comes from. The quality of our life does not come from what we have. I could have $1 million and be miserable. I could be broke and be totally satisfied. So the quality of our life doesn't come from what we have. The quality of our life doesn't come from what we do. I could be skiing in the Swiss Alps. And if while I'm skiing in the Swiss Alps, I'm cranky, I won't enjoy it. But I could be cleaning my basement. And if while I'm cleaning my basement, I'm playful, I'll enjoy it. So the quality of our life doesn't come from what we have, nor what we do. It comes from who we be. If you notice, the only time we love our lives is when we love who we're being.
That's
Hmm.
true.
I know I can be stingy, but I don't love my life while I'm being stingy. I can be cranky, but I don't love my life while I'm being cranky. Holy smokes, do I love my life when I'm being generous?
Yes.
Holy smokes, do I love my life when I'm being caring?
Hmm.
Ah, and when I love my life the most is when I'm being loving. So to relate to love is a way of being is very powerful because it's the one thing that gives us the quality of our life is who we be. And here's the real magic. It's the only thing we have total control over. We don't have control over what we have. I could have a car one minute, it's gone the next. I could have a job one minute, it's gone the next.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I can have an emotion one minute, it's gone the next. We don't have control over what we do. We could show up at the airport for our flight and our flight's canceled, so we don't get to fly.
Hmm.
We have total control over who we be. Whether we're generous or stingy, that's up to us, isn't it? Whether we're forgiving or resentful, that's up to us.
Hmm.
Whether we're loving or uncaring or loving or resentful, that's up to us. Oh, so the one thing that determines our happiness is the one thing we have total control over. That's who we be. So I invite people to relate to love not as an emotion, not as something we do, although those are associated with love, but to relate to love as a way of being. And yes, I have a choice. I can be loving anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance. That's up to me. That's my freedom and that's my power. Maybe that's our birthright as human beings.
It feels so good when you send it out too, though. Like you feel that from yourself. I'm going to give you an example. Yesterday I was in a situation where a person was standing up and they were saying something, and I could see they were getting very agitated. And I was sitting in my chair going, I send you good energy. Calm down. It's okay. Calm down. It's okay. And it felt good doing that to the person because why not?
Yeah, why not? It was your choice, wasn't it? Because you could have been condemning, you could have been judgmental, couldn't you?
Right.
But you certainly wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. So it's not even for them, actually. It's for you, right? It's like your choice about who you be. It gives you your life. That's right. How beautiful. It's a great example.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. It felt good too. Afterwards
Mhm.
I asked the person, did you feel any kind of energy coming your way while you're up there? Well, I'm not sure. And that's okay, right?
Yeah.
I just wanted to see if they could identify.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
okay too.
Yeah. Yeah. That brings us to another good topic of forgiveness, right? Because most people relate to forgiveness as an emotion, like I feel forgiving, or they think it makes sense. It's logic. It makes sense to me to forgive.
Right.
But most people also have a concern about forgiveness, like somehow forgiveness condones what the other person did or excuses what the other person did. But maybe it's none of that. Maybe forgiveness is that choice. Am I going to love or am I going to resent?
Right.
And somebody did something, and I have a choice now. I can resent them or I can give them my love. And forgiveness, if you break it down, it's forgive. I give you my love like I did before anything happened. Forgive. And again, it's not even for the person, the other person. It's for me. Like I have that choice. Which life am I going to live? A forgiving life or a resenting life? It really has nothing to do with what they did or the other person. It's just our choice about which life we live. So forgiveness is, I think, I think it's been something that's been elusive to people because they thought they were forgiving what the person did, like it had to make sense or something. No, it's my choice. Am I going to live a loving life or a resenting life? And when you get it that simple, forgiveness is quite a joy, actually. It leaves one peaceful.
Yes.
It does. I think one thing that I loved, I read with Ayelana Van Zandt, I think it was, and she basically said that forgiveness is freedom. You're freeing yourself from it. So, right, you're not, like you said, condoning what happened. You're just freeing yourself from having to be tied up into that. So, I
Yeah.
since I've read that, I've always held that in my mind of that to be able to forgive easier.
Yeah. Yeah. It's your freedom. That's right.
Hmm.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
As well.
Yeah, it really is. So what do you think are some steps that people could take then maybe to start, forgiving a little bit more and being love out in the world
Well,
besides
I think
that?
one of the first things is to bring our awareness to that I've been resenting because resenting and judging have become so ordinary that we hardly notice when we're doing it.
Hmm.
We hardly notice it anymore.
Do you think
That's
that
true.
that's somewhat because of there's so much social media and media in general impact on us, or just as a
Well, sure.
society?
It's filled, the airwaves are filled with opinions, aren't they? They're just filled.
Are they ever?
So, you know, so it's become so, and when something's always going on and we stop noticing it. Like, we rarely notice our own breathing. Now you think we would because it's essential to life, but we rarely notice our own breathing because it just is always going on. Now, if something interrupts our breathing, we'll notice it.
Hmm.
Mhm.
But when something is happening all the time, we stop noticing. Like the refrigerator may make a little noise, and if the refrigerator is making that noise 24 hours a day, you stop noticing it. So judgment and opinion have become so constant and prevalent that we stop noticing it. So the first thing for us to do is wake up, go, oh, wait a minute. Look at that. I'm just walking around judging and resenting, and I'm not even noticing it anymore. But now let me notice that I'm doing that, and then let me check out the quality of my life while I'm doing that.
True.
Reclaim my choice. Wait, I have a choice here. I really see the good thing about relating to love as a way of being is you really get, I have a choice.
Hmm.
See, no matter what we're experiencing, we have a choice about who we be. So, like when we're tired, for instance, that's an experience, right? I'm tired. When we're tired, can we be cranky? Sure. When we're tired, can we be argumentative? Sure. When we're tired, could we also be cuddly? Yeah. When we're tired, could we be affectionate? Yeah. Oh, look at that. So tiredness doesn't determine who I be. How about when I'm angry? When I'm angry, could I be argumentative? Sure. When I'm angry, could I be, critical? Sure. When I'm angry, could I be compassionate? Yeah. When I'm angry, could I be tender? I could, couldn't I? So it's really important to get that no matter what experience of life we're having, we still have a choice about who we be. Aha, there's our freedom.
That's
Yeah,
true.
it really is.
Mm,
It as you're talking, it made me think about it's like, with social media and stuff, there's all these algorithms that show, right? So we see what we want to see. And so it's like when you're speaking, it was like if life itself is maybe an algorithm, and so what we're putting out, that's what we're going to see more of. So if we're choosing to be love and light and being forgiving, that's more of what we're going to see and experience in our lives as
true.
well.
Well, argument sure breeds argument, doesn't it? And defensiveness sure breeds defensive. It just does, doesn't it? So yeah, love can breed love. It can do that. It can do that. Yes, for sure.
So what are you hoping with sending your book to Congress, which I think is an amazing idea, and I have an idea of what you're trying to get with that, but what are you hoping by sending that book to them that will happen or start?
Well, I think if we look, right, a lot of us are concerned that two things. One is that things aren't getting done. There's not a lot of effectiveness in the political system because it's an argument about who's right and who's wrong versus what's going to get something done, right? And two is that the whole mood of it or the whole ethos of it is so unpleasant at this point. So I am committed that we could actually change the ethos. One of the things for everybody, not political leaders, but all of us, is to kind of just resolve, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not going to engage in that. I am not going to engage in condemnation. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to engage in righteousness. I'm not going to do that. Hey, I'm not going to do that. We can do that. Like, some people make choices about, like, I'm going to be a vegetarian. Yeah, I'm not eating that food. So we can make choices like that. Or, yeah, I'm not going to smoke. But we can equally make a choice. Yeah, I'm not going to argue like that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to gossip. I'm not going to judge. And just that, if we could just let go of that and just make kind of, okay, I'm not doing that, then what could happen between us? You'll find, see, love is not just a Pollyannish nice idea. We're only effective when we love. We can't get things done with people that we're not loving. If you know I don't love you and I come to you with an idea, are you going to listen to it? Probably
Probably.
not.
I might listen, but I'm probably not going to be engaged in it.
Exactly. Well, do we think it's any difference with our teenage kids, or do we think it's any difference with a coworker? No, if it's a foundation of love. If love is there, we can work anything out with anybody. It's like a dance partner. If you have a dance partner that's way across the floor, you can't move them. But if your dance partner's in your arms, you can move them, can't you?
Yes.
So we have to have people in our arms. And I don't mean that literally, but I mean like we have to embrace them, have love be present, and then people can move with this. Then we can work anything out with anybody.
Right.
So, what I'm committed to accomplish is a new kind of leadership where we get that we want to be effective with people. And if we want to be effective, it'll require a foundation of love, acceptance. And on that foundation, if we bet it all on love, I'm betting there. See, mostly we think our logic will carry the day, or we think that our being smart will carry, our intelligence will carry the day. They don't, do they? We could be so smart. We could be so smart, but if the other person doesn't listen to us, our smartness actually doesn't do any good, does it?
Yeah.
The most important thing is being listened to. No matter how smart we are, if the other person won't listen to us, we've got no power with them. It's only in an environment where we're loving that we can really have people listen to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what Gandhi taught us. That's what Mandela taught us. That's what Dr. King taught us. That's what Mother Teresa taught us. Those are those big lessons of life. When we love, people will listen. And
Hmm.
if people won't listen to us, we can't get anything done.
Yeah.
Get anything done, we got to be listened to. To be listened to, we got to love.
It's true.
Yeah.
They used to always tell the kids when they were younger and they would be going to school and they would come home upset or something. And I'd always say to them, well, you have to treat people the way you want to be treated. Because if you treat them that way, then they will be better for you, and
Mhm.
so just treat them that way. And also, nobody is better than you. We're all the same. You know, we always we put our shoes on the same way every day. So, if you try to think about that when you're at school around these people, it would make it a better day for you. And I used to tell them to all the time. They used to go, "Oh, mom,"
That's
they
right.
did, remember?
Hmm.
But it made sense. Just go with that attitude, and it's
Yes.
yeah,
But if they listen to you, your kids listen to you because they knew you loved them.
yes.
They actually didn't. They didn't listen to you because it made sense. They listened because you told them other things that made sense. They didn't listen to, I'm sure. Right?
Oh, I'm certain. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's a flow, right? When you have
Yeah.
that love that you're exuding out, there is that flow so that you can get that knowledge that you have out to people,
mhm.
like you were saying, right? People are going to be more receptive to it and want to engage in that conversation
Yeah.
with you then. And
And
the
well, think about it. When you love somebody, you really want good things for them.
Right.
So if you're giving them some advice or something, if it's out of love, it's because you really want them to benefit from it, right? It's not because you want to dominate them or control them or correct them. It's because you want good things for them. So when people know you want good things for them, they can listen and really take to heart what you're saying. So it's a
Yeah.
big lesson. It's a big lesson. Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Mm, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, when we're speaking and you're talking about, looking at situations and reflecting on them, I think there's so much truth in that because we can learn by reflecting on what we've just done and what our actions were and oh, was I loving or was I, not loving? And do I want to change that? How am I feeling? Because I think if we tapped into how our body was feeling when we left a situation not loving, we wouldn't want to repeat that again.
No.
Would we? We don't enjoy the experience. We could be right. I was so right with my dry cleaner. You have no idea how right I was. I was so right. But I didn't enjoy it at all.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I enjoyed it when I called him back and gave him all my love and respect back, right?
Yes.
That's when I was happy again, right?
Hmm.
So there's another big lesson in here too that's kind of hidden, but it's important to get, which is that the other person can't give us love. See, if you love me and while you're loving me, I'm cranky, what do you suppose I experience? Do I experience love or crankiness?
Probably
Cranky-
cranky. Yes.
Crankiness. If you, let's suppose you respect me, and while you're respecting me, I'm judging you. Do I experience respect or do I experience judgment?
Judgment.
Judgment. So, oh, wait, the other person can't give us anything. So in a relationship, whether it's a short relationship like with a dry cleaner or it's a 40-year marriage, it doesn't matter. If we are in a relationship thinking we're supposed to get love from the other person, oh boy, are we setting ourselves up for disappointment.
Yes.
They can't give us love. Now, they can't give us hate either, because if you hate me and I'm compassionate with you, I don't experience hate, I experience compassion. The other person can't give us anything because our life comes from who we're being. Well, then that begs the question, doesn't it? Well, what's the point of other people? What's the point of relationships? If they can't give you anything, why have them around, right? Here's how come have other people there, because I don't get to be somebody if there's nobody there. See, I don't get to be loving if there's nobody there to love. And I don't get to be caring if there's nobody there to care for. And I don't get to be compassionate if there's nobody there to be compassionate. I don't get to be empowering or inspiring if there's nobody there to be empowering with or inspire. When you discover the point of other people is simply they give you an opportunity to be somebody, you don't get anything from them. Then you're left grateful for the presence of anybody. And the real senior lesson with that is the more difficult they are, the bigger we get to be. So, if I have a polite clerk in a store, I get to be polite back. But if I have a rude clerk in a store, I get to be really generous. If I have a great boss, I get to be great back. But if I have a difficult boss, I get to be a giant. So the more difficult the other person is, the bigger we get to be. So they're the ones to be the most grateful for, actually. So,
That's the truth too.
but to really learn the other person can't give us anything takes a lot of the mystery out of how come relationships get tangled up because we're in it thinking, hey, I'm supposed to get love from you. Mm-mm, mm-mm. The only reason I'm in a relationship with you is because you give me the profound privilege of loving you.
Mhm.
And that's what I get. I get the privilege of loving you. Thank you for being here.
Thank
You're
you.
not supposed to do anything.
Yeah, and I
Right?
think the more that we can be that way, the more that angry person, say the clerk, is going to start, that's going to chip away at them. They're going to be like, oh, that person was actually really nice to me. Oh, maybe I'm not as angry as I was, or, you know,
Yeah, it's kind of a melting process. The anger just kind of melts, right? Yeah.
exactly. And I think, as humans, we just kind of go out there and do the things and say and be the way that we are, but we don't know always what is actually happening in that person's life. Like, you know, did they just their marriage broke up before they came into the store? Is that why? So if we can just give them love and grace, how much nicer is that to say, this is how we want to see the world?
Mhm.
I love that you just used the word grace because grace is ultimate love, right? Grace is that love that you don't make them deserve. You just give it to them.
Mhm.
They don't have to deserve it. And that it's grace is love that you would never take away. So if you work with grace, grace is love that you give, you never make somebody deserve it, and you never take it away. You bestow grace. As a society, we discovered, wow, we can bestow grace on anybody, can't we?
Mhm.
And that is a wonderful life, bestowing grace.
It is. It really is. And you look at some of these people that you were talking about, like Mother Teresa and, Gandhi and things like that. And that is exactly what they did, right?
Yeah,
Is they just bestowed grace upon everybody. And, it trickled out and there was just the ripple effect from it.
right.
And it's not even a Pollyannish idea, like a utopian idea. It's just notice how joyous and fulfilled you are being someone who bestows grace on others.
Mhm.
You can't get a better life than that, as far as I can tell. You just can't get a better life.
No, I would agree with that.
I do. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I think too, you have to let people identify with what they've just done to you. So they have a
Mhm.
moment to think about what they've done, but delivering it to them in a nice way. Like the other day, I was in a store doing something, and this lady spoke to me very badly. And I went back to her and I said to her, I just want you to know that by what you said to me really made me feel bad. So, but you have a nice day. All I wanted her to know was what she said could have been portrayed or could have been said in a different way. And I thought that maybe that'll help her for the next person that she's talking to, you know. And I said it in such a way where I didn't mean her any bad, and I certainly didn't say that bad. But sometimes I think you have to sort of propose it to that person so they see how they put it out there,
Yeah,
get
well,
a thought.
again, it sounds like you said it because you wanted something good for her. You weren't saying it to be right. You were saying it because you wanted to serve her in a particular way.
Right. Like that's
So,
your job. You should be
yeah,
careful.
yes. So if you want, if you're whatever you offer to the other person, if it's really for their best interest,
And it was.
yeah. See, yeah,
It
see,
was, you know,
very nice.
yeah. But
Mm.
because people don't identify with what they're doing a lot. I
Mhm.
find especially when driving and things like that, people are so aggressively driving and things. It's like, oh my God, you know. But if you give them a smile, even though they might be giving you the finger sort of thing, at least you're getting something back to say to them, I'm sorry I did that if it really made you upset, but I didn't mean to, you know.
Right.
Hope that's
But
better.
again, give them a hand gesture back too, but you wouldn't be happy.
No, no, why would you do that?
You are, and again, you don't have to worry like, oh, am I somehow condoning it or excusing it or I don't worry about that. I can tell people that the behavior is unacceptable, right? No, I'm not gonna put up with that behavior, but I don't have to hate you while I don't put up with the behavior. I can love you and not accept the
Right.
behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love how you're saying this because, I mean, we're still humans. So we get
Yeah.
angry, we get frustrated, we get all of these different emotions and react to them. And I love how you're saying we have that power though within ourselves to rectify those things
Yeah.
and to show up differently perhaps in the future
Yeah.
if the same situation happens or something similar.
Yeah.
And that's why I like the whole idea of just paying attention to our love footprint, because we kind of wake up and go, wow, I really do leave a love footprint, don't I? And to pay
Yeah.
attention, to
Yeah.
be courageous enough to tell myself the truth as I go through that. How'd I do? You know,
Yeah,
not so good that last.
that was one of
All
my
right.
favorite things that you said, I think, and I know that you commented on it too, is um oh, I lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
Was about the love
About
and doing that before you went out for the day of setting that and grading yourself. I'm all
Yeah.
like,
It's
that's
great.
such a great thing, right? How did I do?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, great. Self-love is equally important too. And again, some people will say, well, you should love yourself more. I'm gonna try to love myself more. That doesn't work. What works is to get that, oh, the only reason I don't love myself is because there's something in the way. There's some opinion or some resentment or some judgment in the way. There's a useful thing you can do with judgments and opinions. People think they need to change opinions or change judgments. We don't need to do that. So, just right now, I got this glass in front of me, yes? And if the glass is in my way, I don't have to wrestle with it or argue with it, right? I can literally put it aside, can I? I can just set it aside. And it's right there. I could pick it back up if I want to and bring it back. But I can just put the glass aside, can I? And then it's not in my way anymore. Good. Do you know we can do that with opinions and judgments and resentments too? We don't have to talk ourselves out of them. We don't have to argue about them. We don't have to wrestle with them. We could take opinions and just set them aside for a while, and then they're not in the way. So I invite everybody listening to practice setting things aside. Like it's a useful practice. Like just take my phone, set it aside. Take a pen, set it aside. And notice if I take my phone in front of me right now, like where the phone is, I can't do anything else because the phone's in the space. If I set the phone aside, then where the phone was, there's nothing now. So I can be creative. I can create something new. So setting things aside, and I practice, setting physical things aside, and then learn I can do that while I can also set opinions aside and I can set resentments aside. And much more, it's much easier when you reframe it that way than to talk yourself out of an opinion.
Mhm.
And it really, again, sets you free.
Sure.
So setting things aside is a useful practice.
I love that analogy because I think when we do something very tactile too, like that, that we're really ingraining that into our brain to be able to say, oh, okay, yeah, if I can physically do this, now I can do these other things that are not tactile, but
Mhm.
will have the same result.
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that.
The-
That's how
When
come
my brain is thinking, it's really good, but I'm just kidding. Every once in a while, I lose my train of thought there.
It's
Oh,
okay.
goodness.
Yeah, it's like yesterday.
Mhm.
Is it all yesterday?
But I mean, and then again, right? Even there, I have to have, as you know, this is our conversation going, and it's like, okay, but I still have to have grace with myself to say, okay, that happened, and now we can just move forward with the conversation,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
Can I share with you about another project we got going? It's called
Yes,
Love Goes
please.
to Capital. So I told you we sent the book to every member of Congress, several governors, the president, the vice president, like that. So I'm very excited about that. But another project called Love Goes to the Capitol, we're going to start in Pennsylvania, where I live, right? And we're going to start going to the state capitol in Harrisburg. And I want to do 52 projects, one a week for 52 weeks. And the first week, we're going to start this in just a few weeks. I do some volunteer work with some gentlemen right out of prison. And so we're going to take a group of guys that have been formerly incarcerated, go to the state capitol and deliver an orchid to every legislator. Then the next week, we're going to take a group of trans teenagers up and just open the doors for legislators. No political talk whatsoever. Just open the doors graciously and lovingly for legislators as they come and go. The next week, I'm going to take a group of moms on food assistance programs up and deliver a letter of thank you to every legislator. So
Wow.
I'm committed that if we go once a week for a year and just take an action like that, that at the end of the year there has to be, it will have to have had some impact just on the environment of the state capitol. Okay. And so those are three ideas I've had. I've got to come up with 49 more, obviously, but
Well,
but
I feel like you will
I
because,
do too.
and I think that's great because you're not making, but you're not making a statement and you're making one all at the same time of just right. We're just giving love, we're giving grace, we're just being here. And
yeah.
I love that's such an amazing idea.
It is.
And I'm hoping I want that one to, so I've got it, I'll have it on my Facebook site, but I'll also have it on my website, which is yourlovedoesmatter.com. So I'm hoping people in other states pick up that idea and run with it too. And I'll support
Oh,
anybody in another state that wants to take similar actions in their state. I'll support them no matter what they need. But if
Very
people
nice.
want to check out my website, yourlovedoesmatter.com, we'll have all the ideas and share the ideas there. Okay.
Very
I love
nice.
that. I hope it goes
Yeah,
viral. I really do
I do.
because I do because I think, things like that is such a wonderful thing. And I think when we talk about social media and stuff, there's some downfalls, but there's things like this that are so amazing and they inspire people to take the same kind of actions, which I
Mhm.
think is going to have that ripple effect that we're getting where you're talking about in your book, bringing that love and grace to
Yeah.
everybody.
But then just think about your podcast too. Out of all the things being broadcast in the world, right? Then there's this and this hour and this message and what you're doing by dedicating your podcast to, like, out of everything being broadcast out there, wait, there's this line of it that's got, love and respect being generated in it, right? So it's time we claim the airwaves, I think, and get this message, fill the airwaves with this message. The airwaves have been filled with a message that has been counterproductive, I think. So let's start filling the airwaves with this message. So I appreciate your podcast.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank
much.
you. And we do appreciate you being on with us and giving people these ideas. And I hope that, they don't even wait to see your social media on it. I hope they just start taking action on it and saying, I can do this wherever it is. And, acts of kindness are so great. I know for a while I was putting little sticky like happy little today is a great day or you look so beautiful and sticking them in the grocery store when I was there, right? Because it just makes people's day when they see it.
We used to do that with each other too. Leave notes. We weren't doing that so much, but we used to do it with each other too. Just leave little notes. Love you because have a great day. You look beautiful.
I
Yeah,
send my grandchildren a text almost every day, just like thinking of you, loving you, sending you love, whatever, right? Just, it makes me happy. I hope they enjoy it, but certainly I enjoy being a grandfather who sends a message like that. That's for
I
sure.
I assure you they do, because when you get a message like that, it's like, oh, that person was thinking about me and they love me. That's so nice. It made my day,
yeah, it does make your
So
day. It does.
it really
Yeah.
does. So,
Can I just mention before we end up that the book is available, it's in print, it's on ebook, and it's also an audiobook now. So, and soon to come out in Spanish, and not quite yet, but it's been translated, just hasn't been printed yet in Spanish. But in available ebook, print, and now audiobook. And
so
that was
Amazon or
Amazon. Yeah. Hmm.
okay, perfect. I was just actually going to ask you that question. Where can people find you and your book? So the book we
The
got,
book is
where
on
can people find
Amazon,
you?
and I'm on yourlovedoesmatter.com. That's where they can find me. And I love feedback on the book too. I love hearing how, how it makes a difference for people in the living of their life. Like not just, oh, that was a nice book, but one of my mom's friends said that she was in the grocery store. She read my book, and then she was in the grocery store and she had her back to the aisle. She was looking at the products, right? And then somebody banged her cart, and she was about to turn and like snap at the person. But then she remembered she read my book. And so she caught herself and instead turned around and was ready to be nice to the person. And it turned out to be her own daughter.
Oh, that's so funny.
But,
Purpose.
but I love stories like that where somebody says, I read the book and then it literally showed up in a very, tiny moment of my life, but that it made a difference, right?
Oh, that's amazing. Well, if you had a final word to leave with our followers, what would it be?
It would be
Hot.
this. It's that there's ability that loving is a way of being, and it's our choice. It's our birthright, maybe. We get to choose being loved. We could choose being resentful. We could choose being condemning. We could choose being judgmental, or we can choose being loving. And it's where our joy comes from. And it's our choice every minute of every day. And we do have a love footprint. So let's expand it, shall we? Together.
Yes.
Love that.
Nice.
Love that.
Very
So
nice. Yeah.
we really appreciate you being on with us today. This is a great message for people. I personally, and you'll probably back me up on
Oh,
this,
yeah.
would
I love
challenge
it.
people to go out there and do like these 52 weeks of things just to make that difference in the world.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that with us and our followers.
Yeah. It's
Thank you so much. It's been wonderful to have this conversation with you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And everybody else, we will see you on the next one.
we sure will.
I know. To everybody listening, thank you so much. Bye bye.